There we go. Now I should be able to be heard. So, another build stream. This one isn't an auction like the last one. This one is pre-sold to a customer, and the setup is slightly different from mine because he wanted some slight changes. The main one is just, well, the only ones. Oh, no, there's 3 changes. It's the camera. It's a Predator V4 Nano, a Unify Pro 32 Nano, and Crossfire Nano. I'm personally running Ghost and the Immersion Tramp and a Runcam Razor 2 Nano. So those 3 are the differences. So that I haven't prepared a frame yet, so let's get that taken care of. We can take one of the pre-packaged frames. So if we zoom in. This is how you will receive your MAD-LITEs. This is also how the MAD-S is packaged. They are vacuum packaged so that they don't scramble or anything and don't move around and scratch each other during shipping. And these scissors are not any good anymore. They used to be absolutely fantastic, but now, well, don't really work anymore. They aren't sharp. You do also get a battery strap and a camera mount, but they aren't packaged in the vacuum bag, simply because, oh, what's going on with this one? Is it just the shadows from it? It looked kinda trippy here, like it's like, I think it's called chromatic aberration, where it's like 2 slightly offset ones. And that's probably due to the new lighting. The lighting setup still isn't complete, but now I have one very bright light over there and one over there. I would like to have one straight overhead so that we eliminate more shadows, but I haven't made a mount for it yet. I probably need to strengthen my camera mount before I do that. I've also gotten an actual keyboard this time, so I don't have to stretch here to reach the keyboard. And it also has a little trackball thing. So it's both a keyboard and mouse in one, which is really useful because I'm out of USB ports on the computer now. And as in the last stream, we're using the same stack, Mamba F72 Mini Mark II stack. Which is an F7 20x20 and the ESC also 20x20, 40 amp. Same motors, Xnova, Lite 2207, 1950 kV. Same antenna, TBS Triumph Pro, and the same props. Well, I think the last ones, or the ones I usually use, are blue-ish. And also you get a bag of hardware. It's all of the screws you need and spacers, and also included 3D prints for your VTX antenna. Hang on, let me for SMA, and then for, oh, hang on, hard to get it in shot, and then UFL. So this UFL one, it simply hooks onto your VTX cable. I can show you. I hate getting the antennas out of this package, because you need some kind of tool to do it. So let's see here. Simply place it in there, preferably near the end, and then just click. Now it's fairly secure in there, but it can still slide back and forth. So you can either use zip ties in these cutouts here, that will work fine, or you can use these printed parts. This one isn't that good because that's a slight hair across it, like a 3D printed, yeah, you see it. And the other one should not have that. You get 3 of them included in each frame package. So here's the 2 others. We just include 1 spare in case you lose it. So once we have the antenna in place, you just take one of these and see if I can do it in shot. Kind of tricky to try to show you guys at the same time. And these ones are made to be very tight, so it might require a fair bit amount of force to get it on. This one's still not completely on, because as you can see the antenna can still move in and out. So just keep pushing it until the antenna is locked down. You can also use a pair of pliers to squeeze it down. And then be very careful so that you don't damage the antenna cable. There we go. And that antenna is very secure. Then we added another one, just for extra security. The design was, I just had to copy it over further in on the part. And when closer to the frame mount, it can be a bit trickier to get on because it is tighter. And also this gets a bit easier to do with time. First time they're very tight, and then the next time they're more acceptable. Oops. And there we go. Secure antenna mounting. And of course an antenna mount as well. Not antenna, camera mount. To put your camera in. This camera mount does not fit this camera. I'm currently printing the one that actually fits. I was lazy when I was taking the measurements and got them slightly wrong. I think 1/10 of a millimeter wrong on the camera lens diameter. So I'm currently printing another one, and we will have that ready by the end of the stream when we're actually putting the camera on. But well, let's start building. And let's just put one of these stickers. Yep, that's in frame. A diatone sticker. Can I zoom in more? Nope. And you get the stack pre-assembled. Ooh, they've changed the cable here since the last ones I got. So these ones are now colored. The old ones were, I think, one black, one red, and then the rest white. But now you have orange. Let's see if I can get this. Blue, 4 white, and then a black and red. And these cables are directional. There's a little thing here tell you that this is the FC side. But now, because they are colored, you should be able to figure it out easier if you lose that little tag. So that's a nice feature. There we go. I like to remove all the stickers because I just don't want them to get worn out and then hard to reach inside a stack. And all of the specs and stuff are on these papers. There's nothing really lost with it. We're going to be using these short M2 screws that you get with the stack. I'm going to sheet. I'm going to look at how I've built previous quads and put the FC and stuff in the same orientation. So the way I've always built my MAD-S's and MAD-LITEs, let's zoom out a little bit, is with the battery cable coming out the back left. I can't really remember the original reason, but that's how I've done it now for 2 years, so I'm gonna keep doing it that way. Well, all of mine are built that way, and I'm building this one in my configuration just with different stuff for this customer, because that's what they wanted. And also I've always had antenna on the back right. Now I'm using the ghost antenna instead of crossfire, but on the new build that we're building today it's going to be crossfire. And because of that you need to put the ESC in the correct orientation from the beginning. So if we look at this center plate here, I'm gonna bring in another light source here to hopefully help with that weird look. So it might look quite similar, the center plate here, but I know that this here is how the front or the back looks. It is symmetrical, but not, well, this side here is not the same as this side. And it is quite easy to mix them up. Like, for example, you think this is forward, but this is actually forward. And when I have it like that, upside and up and down doesn't matter yet, because we haven't put any arms on. Let's see if I can do this around this lamp. So we want, again, if this is forward, we want the battery cable coming out back left. And to help me remember, I'm gonna put electrical tape here. The original reason for this electrical tape was on the MAD-S on, I can't remember which ESC it was that I was using on the first few prototypes. But I mounted it so low to the frame that it might, that I was worried that it might actually short out on the frame. But just a layer of electrical tape solves that. And this was a bit too long, so let's cut it. There we go. Might not the most elegant application of it. Also, one thing about this FC. It has a heat spreader for the CPU on the underside to help it stay cool, because F7s get hot. So now that we know where it's going, we put it the battery pads the correct way, and then of course we have the cables coming out the opposite side, and then the FC is just mounted like that. So we're gonna have to go into Betaflight and change a few things later to make sure that it knows what it's doing. I think I want to check. I'm thinking now which way I want to have the nylon nuts on it. And the way I've built the two previous ones, this one was the one I built in the last stream, is screws on the screw heads on the FC side and the nuts on the ESC side. So let's do the same here. Hardware bag from Diatone. We really only want the nuts from this bag. Oh, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit, so I don't have to fight as hard to stay in frame. There we go, nuts acquired. And screws, I'm gonna get a Phillips screwdriver. Too big. Let's see here. That one feels too small. And the smallest one, far too small. So it is the bigger one. That's kind of weird. So just put the screw through, squish the soft mount so you can actually get the nut on, and then screw in. Oh, sorry, was out of frame. tighten all of these evenly. I want them slightly protruding through the nut, because then I can see that all of them are the same. Let's see here if I can show you guys that they are all just slightly protruding through the nut. And that's how I know on these, on exactly these screws, that I have the right amount of squish. Ooh, you can probably hear the fans. Hang on. Okay, I've gotta change the filters. Ooh. That probably helped, right? You can't hear the fans anymore. Yeah, that looks good. On the monitor, it's not perfect by any stretch. Like, it doesn't give me all the information, but I think that should have eliminated the fan noise. So now that we have the stack mounted, we're gonna be careful with the orientation here, and now we can start building the frame. So the front motor, the two front motors are mounted lower than the rear motors. Wrong way. So there's a height difference. So there's two different types of arms, as you can quite clearly see here. And one of them is straight, and the other one is angled. So we need to make sure that we get the right arms in the right place, which is something I failed in the last stream. And there's also another thing, the arms, they aren't symmetrical in here. I do this again. You can see here that on one side, let me get something to point with. Change that here, on point with my right hand. On this side here, it's just straight, a normal slot. But here it's two stages, and the one that's further cut in is for zip tie, and that one's gonna be against the top or the bottom plate. And this side is always gonna be towards the center plate. So with that, you can't put them the wrong way so that they go upwards. They also will not fit because the spacing on the tabs are slightly different. So with that knowledge, we're gonna put it like so, and then click it into place, and it is now stuck. Now I'm going to put in the arm. The arm is put, well, the hammerhead arm is put in through the other one, then rotated, and then it needs to get squeezed into place. Yes, you can see the stream afterwards. It will be available on the YouTube channel here for you to watch whenever you want. Now I had this arm, the hammerhead arm, I had that the wrong way. So I switched it around so that I have But I have the zip tie notch outwards. As you can see, they are on opposite ends. You can put a zip tie through both of them in the end if you want to, and that's because if you want to take off both the top and the bottom plate at the same time, the arms will have no chance to fall out. I did this the wrong way. Oh, I got confused again. But that's an easy fix because we caught it early. And the error I made was that I flipped it over so that the FC was up. In these builds, the FC is down. So now if we hold it the correct way, with front towards front and the battery strap, the battery cables going back left, we know it's supposed to. And we also know that this arm is supposed to go downwards, so that we will have the angle one on the top. And take them into place again. All of these parts here are supposed to have really tight tolerances, so it might require a fair amount of force the first time you're putting them in. That's normal, nothing to worry about. And I'm gonna this one, because that's one. Ooh, hang on now. Yeah, okay, that's right. I have the cheat sheet here, so I'm cheating. But when you get your hands on this frame, there will be a finished animation of how to put it together, and also an IKEA style manual to help you get it correct on the first try. Oop. Accidentally pulled out the arm. Put it the right way again. There we go, that arm pairs in. To secure them in place and make sure that everything is absolutely correctly, we're going to put on these the motor plates. The motor plates only fit one way. And again, the tolerances on these ones are really tight. Okay, I might have to cheat again and put the motor mounts on first before I put it onto the frame. I managed to build the very first one that I built, the very first MAD-LITE I built. I managed to build that one by putting the arms on first and then the motor plates. But I haven't been able to do that on stream yet. So, the stream curse. Oh, sorry, was out of frame. I'm gonna move the camera slightly closer here. Try another motor plate. I'm thinking if I've managed to do something wrong, but I can't think of anything that would cost really. Oh, okay. It helped if I tried slightly flexing the arms. Because it was out here at the end where they didn't quite match up. Let's try here. It's mounted on the frame. I try to squeeze the arms. They aren't flexing at all. So that's not gonna work. Let's move this to the movable position. And just come on, I got the other one on. Definitely showing off how easy the frame is to build. Tolerances are only this extremely tight the first time you build it. After that, it's gonna be easier and easier because it's gonna wear down ever so slightly. A tenth of a millimeter here makes a fair difference. Well, it makes a huge difference in how well things fit. It also has a big impact on performance. Because if you have a well inside of here, I will zoom in later and show you. There's absolute contact. There's you have to slide them into each other. There's no what's the word? There's no space at all between the arms, and that's why it's so hard to get to these ones. Well, not super hard. It's why it's slightly tedious to get these ones on the first time because the tolerances here are exact. I'm or maybe we had 0.05 or something difference between the arms. Okay, there we are. Just had to use a lot of force for it. You can see, I don't know if you can see it, but I have some slight marks here after the motor plate. Just double check that I'm still on the right path. That click is so satisfying. And this does not look right. I just flip it over. Yes, I can, I think. Oh, hang on. I'm confused. It's too early for a quad build. Far too early. Tomorrow's stream's gonna be in the afternoon. Both because I'm probably gonna be out flying in well before lunch, and also because it's far too early to build a quad. There we go. The front two arms are the lower of the lower type, and these ones are gonna go. One's gonna go there. This arm's gonna go here. Just triple check that this one's gonna be the correct way. It is. There should be some easy trick to this that I'm missing. Johan usually designs stuff in a really clever way. I just haven't found the secret yet. At least that's what it feels like. Some way to line these ones up perfectly every single time, effortlessly. That's the way Johan usually designs things. But the goal of this frame is absolute performance, not ease of building. Once it is built, it is fairly easy to service. It is 8 screws to get access to the full stack. And you can change an arm or an arm pair in less than 5 minutes. That's no issues. I've done a arm change in, I think it was 2 minutes 30 seconds. So that's no worry, and because everything is so well packaged and protected, you will have to service it less if you build it correct the first time. Once it's built, there's nothing that can touch the electronics, not even an emitter. Nothing can reach it. I've never had this much trouble getting on motor plates before. This is honestly very embarrassing to not be able to get them onto my own frame. But it is oh so satisfying when you do get that click and everything just snaps together. Double check here, this one's gonna go upwards, that one straight, and again the special slot is going towards the top plate. I think it is because if I try to, if I put it into these two slots here, if I just do this here, if I try to put it in, let me get an extra light up here. Try and show you guys. If I get it into these two slots here first, and then try to get it into these two other ones, there's gonna be an angle, and the distance is gonna be too far. So I think I need to put it in flat from the start. I think that's what's tripping me up the most. If I see here, can we get back? Yep. Okay, all 4 points at once. See here. Let's do the other side then. Maybe we should go for slightly looser tolerances on these parts. And just the motor plate section of it. Because the joint here is perfect between two arms. There's absolutely zero play there. The reason that we have gone these tight tolerances is it is much cooler have tight to be able to do these tight tolerances, and B, it improves performance. As I said earlier, it isn't about absolute ease of use, it's about absolute performance. Performance is worth some headaches. Because there's nothing else that flies like this out on the market. It's a completely different beast compared to the MAD-S, because it is a fair bit lighter. My personal rig is 263 grams, including props and everything, like flight ready except battery. And it is quick. Last piece here, come on. There we go. Now that's done. I will be right back. I need to get some water. If There we go, now the mouse is working. I'll be right back, I'll just get some water. I have returned. So now we can see that the motors are on two different planes. The front ones are lower compared to the back because this is up currently. And when you pitch forward, that if I take this one here. So as we're flying forward now, you imagine we're moving towards the camera. The rear props are getting dirty air from the front props, but as we increase the angle, we're still traveling towards the camera. As we increase this angle here, there's more and more separation between the front and rear props. And then once you reach 90 degrees, that doesn't change anything anymore if you're traveling perfectly straight towards where you are. But you're never gonna be like that because you're always gonna have a slight angle towards something. Let's do the motors first. So let's make sure that we have focus. I'm gonna put on the bottom plate just to secure the arms so that nothing moves when we're doing this. Four motors. I really enjoy the packaging because it's so easy to get out. Let's see here if we can put a sticker of some sort up. Oh, you get a lot of stickers. I haven't used these stickers before. You get a lot of them. Gonna put this bag away for later use. And throw away the box. We don't need the screws from there. They will not fit. And now we're getting into our hardware kit. It is the long blue screws that are for the motors and the main body where you need longer screws. So there's only 4 types of screws, or really 2 types and then 2 more for the camera. So the motors and the center body use the same long screws that are 18 millimeters long. And then to mount the camera, due to this 2 millimeter thick base, we have the black screws, which is 1 long black, 1 short black, which are 2 millimeter longer than the blue counterparts. You only need 1 of each per frame. Let's get a 2 millimeter screwdriver. Mount these motors. It is a free mounting hole pattern on the motor plates. That is to save weight. Also optimize the design of the outer arm because all of the screws are now closer to the arm. They are all laying against the arm, which improves the stiffness considerably. Which is something we couldn't really do with 4 screw holes out in the arm. And one of them would need to be further away from an arm. This isn't in focus. Now it is. I managed to find a new focus mode in the camera, where it isn't the normal. You know, it goes blurry, then it goes sharp, then it goes blurry again, and then it finds the happy middle ground. But it does it live. You know, you can see everything. With this one, if I move my hand like this, you can see that it stops, but it focuses on what's there. So it's immediate focus. However, it is. Well, the frame freezes for a second or so. You guys can also hear the sound of the camera clicking and doing magic stuff. And also the image quality should be better due to the extreme lighting I have in here now. I can show you a picture of that later. But it is still not complete. Also, I still have some shadows that I don't really want, because they're mounted opposite of each other. I want one from straight right behind the camera. But I haven't made a mount for that yet. But that is coming hopefully until tomorrow. I might not have time to do it. And I'm thinking about getting another 3D printer, because the one I have currently is just going constantly. Either printing camera mounts and stuff, or other projects. For example, one of the lights is mounted over here. That one's mounted on the trophy shelf with a 3D printed part that I printed overnight. And I need to design one to have up in my camera mount rig, like the one that you're watching from. It might also have to change the base of the camera rig then, so that it doesn't tip over, because that would not be fun. It would also be very expensive. Have it tip over. If it tips over that way, it's gonna hit the computer as well and destroy the camera and everything. So that wouldn't be fun. Let's not do that. Now just taping motor cables and solder them up easily. I always try to put the cables flat so that they're same orientation. But the cable that's coming out on the right gets furthest down, and I just do that every single quad. Here I try to put the electrical tape right where the square changes. Because you can see on this carbon, the squares are massive. Because that's just slightly prettier and doesn't really take away anything. That one was too short. I'm also putting the motor cables on the arm that goes straight to the ESC. That's where they're needed. Cables. You could put them on the other one and then route them inside the frame, but why bother? Here's the square. There we are. Now on to soldering. Let's go 400 degrees. And I'm going to tin all of the pads before we cut the cables. Let's see here. Let's go. Honestly, let's go super zoom. Okay, I'm going manual for this. There we go. I'm sorry about this moving. The arm for it isn't good. The arm for this one is probably older than me. This light used to be my father's when he was my age doing electronics. Battery pads. One word here. I'm gonna cheat a little bit to speed this process up. I'm gonna cut 3 of the wires before I solder them on, so I don't have to change tools over and over. I'm gonna have to do. Oh, I might be able to just zoom out. Oh. Sorry for doing this out of frame, but gotta go fast. It's a fairly simple process. Bottom cable goes to the pad nearest the edge, and then just go inwards. There we go. Cables have been cut. So let's strip them now. They have been stripped. And now on to tinning. Beautiful. So all of them line up perfectly over here, and then they have a nice arc and go right where they should. I'm gonna do the same on this side over here. Again, sorry for doing this out of frame. Want to speed up the process. And try to do this one in frame here. Remember that when you're cutting, you want to cut slightly past the pad that you're going to be soldering to. Otherwise, it's going to be too short once you strip it. It's better to have a cable that's too long than a cable that's too short. Because a cable that is too long can just be cut, while a cable that is too short needs to be extended, which is a pain. If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, just put them in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them. Not quite as beautiful, but they will be mostly hidden, and it is acceptable. The only thing is that the arches up down here, if I can get it, yeah, you might be able to just see it there. They aren't symmetrical. Joe Eric, how's your day going? I'm gonna redo this electrical tape here. I'm actually gonna redo the two last ones that I did, well, the two motors that I have left, because they got put out too far. There we go. A better wrap. Okay, now the two last ones. Let's do this one first. And zoom. Streaming quality here is a fair bit higher than the first time where I just taped my phone to the underside of this lamp here. And it obviously had some problems with overheating. So the stream died due to overheating. But gradually the streaming quality has improved. Now actually having a real camera that I can zoom with and stuff is massive, and then the lighting to decrease the ISO and get a better picture, and also just better work lighting for me is a huge bonus. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the bend that I got here, but it is acceptable, it's just not perfect. Oh, I messed up. That was the metal cable. Oh well, this motor will have different numbering then. Just a small setback, nothing too major. If I didn't say anything, no one would have noticed, I think. And it makes no practical difference, it's just aesthetic. Well, it does make a very slight difference, it's gonna spin the other way. But chance of them all spinning the correct way when you're switching a motor is incredibly low anyways, especially in a race situation where you're just soldering to get it to work, not to look pretty. Because that's usually when you're switching a motor. You're at least I'm not. Oh, sorry, I did all of that last soldering out of frame. I'm usually not switching motors at home. I'm usually switching motors at the track at a race when I've broken something. There we go. ESC has been soldered. All motors have been soldered because we still have the cap and XC60. And we can remove that one now. And taking the helping hand. Here, let's focus on this plane. Oh right, manual focus, but now we're auto. There we go. Oh, so nice having that autofocus mode. It just goes like that. Because we're gonna be soldering a loose XT60, I'm gonna sheet and use another one so that it doesn't melt, even if we pour a lot of heat into it. So let's go. And I'm at 400 degrees Celsius on the soldering iron. So I probably should have pre-tinned these ones before. They come pre-tinned from the factory, but I don't trust the solder mix, so I'm gonna mix in some of my own just to be on the safe side. And then a pair of pliers. Oh, all of that was out of frame. Sorry. And then we're gonna join the two pieces. Let it cool down and then do a tug test. It passed. Want more solder. Fine. Kinda knew that it was gonna happen. I don't know why I still did it the way I did. Oh well. Now that we have those done, we can put on this plastic protective thingy. And that clicks into place. Now back to the ESC. We need a cap. Like this one. It is 470 UF, 35 volt. There we go. And this yellow or gold band is negative. Do not mix them up. You will blow a cap up. Like I did in the end of the last stream. Knowingly. I blew that cap up knowingly. Knew that it was gonna blow up. So just soldered it to an XT60 and plugged it into a 6S battery. Reversed. Cheat here. I wanna put the cap over here. So let's get a cable for that. Black cable. You want fairly thick cables when you have a capacitor, because if you're gonna mount it at a distance, you really want the lowest resistance possible. Let's see here, how many wire gauge? 22. Over here. we might be able to just go large, 18 gauge. More is better. I don't usually use 18 gauge, but it works. It is better the thicker it is. And there's no real drawback. Now that I think about it, I'm not quite sure why I haven't used 18 gauge before, because I had a fair few of them. Running low on other sizes of cables or wires. Don't know which one's actually the correct way to say it. Cables or wires, I don't know the difference. Remember the polarity. Golden thing is negative. And preheat wire. There we go. Now for some heat shrink. This is gonna be interesting, I think, because I'm running very low on heat shrink. Okay, we're gonna use the auto store version instead. Oh yeah, that's actually gonna fit better now, because we have a bigger cable. So this one has hot glue in it. It is from buildstream, which is an auto parts store. Stuff from there usually isn't the best, but hey, it works. And I would prefer to have this color coded. Oh, we might actually have to go with the four-man strategy here, using a candle to shrink it, because this lighter is running out. So this here is an exclusive for this live stream here, using a candle to heat shrink. This is some true caveman technology, never before seen. Now they don't quite fit, but because it's hot glue I can just move them and it's gonna be fine. And oh, kinda burned myself. And stretch them over where they're supposed to go. Heat them up and done. Perfect bend. Because they're gonna be in a fairly tight spot. As the center of the frame is a quite small, but it's quite small body. Is this focused? Close enough. And we're gonna use electrical tape, because electrical tape is superior to zip ties, in my opinion. My opinion is correct. putting this electrical tape on cleanly can be a bit of a challenge. Because you have to wrap it, or you have to go back around here where all the cables are. And push it down. But once it's on there, it shouldn't have to move ever. Careful, move this one out of the way. Okay, let's cut it then. It is slightly too long. I'm gonna put down my soldering iron to 350 so that the handle doesn't heat up. Which mine does at 400 degrees after 20 or so minutes, I think. It heats up slightly, so just so that the handle is slightly uncomfortable to hold. Let's put on the bottom plate again to secure everything. Now we can just route these cables. Don't really want to go over the board. I'm gonna go around. It's gonna be fine later because the top plate's gonna squish these ones down. They are insulated, of course. Everything's gonna be alright. Ooh. Because I'm gonna have to hurry with this later. I'm gonna pre-tin the other end of the cables as well. Again, these cables do have solder on them from the factory. But I do not enjoy mixing them. Putting my soldering iron up at 400 degrees again, which is what I usually use for battery pads. Forgot that I wasn't finished with bigger soldering jobs, ESC soldering jobs, which require more heat than signal cables and stuff. Now I'm gonna put it onto the left side. And then one's gonna go on the right side of the... Oh, how have I done this here? No, okay, both of them are on the left side. I don't want to put them on the middle of the pad, because that's where the main battery connector is gonna be. Okay, now that everything is already hot, like the ESC board is already hot. Come in here with the battery cables. Doing positive first. Because ground is usually connected to a big ground plane, which is harder to heat up. Then do a tug test. Both of them are cleared. And that is the ESC done. That, if I do say so myself, that is quite clean. I just managed to remove this lamp from its mount. well, it's or rather, it mount left the table. I'm gonna put this back on. It will fit back on. Okay. I do not have this lamp mounted anymore. Gonna go and put it away somewhere. Okay, it's still connected under the table. I'm just gonna put it on the floor here. Perfectly done. Incredibly smooth. And now we can put the top plate on. I'm not gonna forget this time. I'm gonna put a battery strap on. And the battery strap is gonna be put on before we mount top plate, because you need to remove the top plate to mount the battery strap. Hello, Flaxatyg. How's your day going? Top plate is put on with friction. Now we can remove the bottom plate and do what we need to do down here, which is the main difference from the other build. A Unify 32 Nano and a Pro 32 Nano and a Crossfire Nano. I haven't built this frame with these VTX and receiver before, so it's gonna be interesting to find the mounting spots for them. I'm probably gonna do something similar to the Ghost build, but never know, due to cable lengths and like antenna cable lengths and that stuff. Oh, this is new. Haven't seen this before, that they come that they come pre-mounted with some silicone gel or something on them. Cable heat shrink, of course. I'm gonna open both of them up because they need to both work together. They both need to fit. Otherwise, it's not worth it. Well, it's not gonna work if you only have the VTX or only the receiver. They both need to fit and both go to the correct places. This mounting board here we're not gonna use. I will send that to the customer who this build is for. Likewise, this antenna. You can put them in other bowl. Yeah, bowl. I learned that last time. I got reminded that that was the word for it. Let's see, the antenna, yep, here it is. And the antenna is gonna go here, around a standoff. Put that in now. the antenna mounts are not compatible between the MAD-S and the MAD-LITE, because on the MAD-S the 3D print is just around a screw, and on the MAD-LITE it's around a standoff. But otherwise they are pretty similar, arguably very similar. They are kind of based on each other, same concept. This one is for UFL antennas, while the one for the MAD-S is the SMA. But here it just locks against an arm, so it can't rotate. Let's see here. Where can this antenna reach? It can reach. Am I fully zoomed in? Yeah. It can reach here, but we have the USB port here, so we don't want it. We don't want to mount it there. It can reach over here as well, which is where I have the VTX on the other quads, the Tramp, over here, the red and gold thing. And then I've had a receiver here. Antenna's a bit long. Might be able to snake it through, because that's how I have it on the MAD-S. Oh right, I've never mounted a crossfire antenna on a MAD-LITE. But I can probably do the zip tie version, because for where is? Probably lost it. Package here. If I get my Madkwads hardware thing. Oh no. Did I not print enough of those? There should be one more 3D print included, which is a ghost antenna mount. I'm gonna write it up on my whiteboard. Hang on. So on Ghost, I have these little 3D printed part, just goes on a motor screw and holds the antenna. But the crossfire antenna is much bigger and different, so that will not fit, sadly. I'm probably just gonna zip tie it there, like I've done all my MAD-S's for a while. Probably should have thought about that before I started building this. I actually had a plan for it. But we can start with the VTX. Its own cables for most of it. These are through-hole connectors. I'm actually gonna use the through-holes. This is 5-volt in. How do I usually do this? I usually have no issues at all with these through-hole connectors and just soldering them up. Oh, I'd probably go like this. Go sideways. Then I can see what I'm doing. It is and then ground. I do wish they would include a manual for the pinout. It is a bit annoying having to search for it every single time you need it. Because, well, it is printed here with silk screen, but it's barely readable. Then we have 5-volt out, I think. It should be another ground. Then it is video, which is yellow in my standard. And then white for smart audio. Gonna go through and clean these ones up. Oh. Of course I can't do that upside down. What was I thinking? Or, well, rather, why was I not thinking? Easily fixable. I'm actually gonna Google the pinout. It is. Okay. It was as I suspected. It is in, out, and video, smart audio. I want to do this is like so. But I should go back and see if, because I left OBS. Yeah. So the two middle cables, red and black, are 5-volt out. So we're going to leave those alone and twist the rest here together. A nice and consistent spiral. These two we can twist together alone as well. Okay. And now we can heat shrink it. But we need to decide how we're going to mount it first. to be there. Okay. Oh, right. Gotta go back in frame. And let's see if I can manage to shrink one of these TBS heat shrinks without removing it while burning it. Disappears, more or less. I have these ones actually burn the heat shrink if you heat it up enough. I'm gonna be very far away with the lighter. Go whoop. The other side. Oh, we missed a small spot there. Good enough. I don't really want to go too far with it because I know that they just poof disappear. Now let's get some mounting tape, double-sided sticky tape. Move cables out of the way. And stick it down. Remove the protective film. And mount our VTX. Be clear of that hole. We are. Good, good. The cable's inside the frame. Okay, so now if we you guys know you well I can just do this, I think. It's still kind of hard for you guys to read, but I'm doing this through the camera now, so it's kind of hard. So this here is for the camera, the three topmost. So it's 5-volt ground camera, and it's 5-volt ground TX, like a UART port, and then a VTX. So that's where we're gonna put our VTX. And it's of course out of focus now. So we're gonna skip the first two pads, which are 5-volt and ground for the camera, because we're doing that through the VTX. So we have the camera input, and we have 5-volt, then we have ground, we have TX, and then we have video. And I'm gonna cut all 4 of the cables at once. Add a fair amount of slack to them. Oh, nearly messed up the order. It is 5V ground EX ETX. And of course we're skipping the first tinned pad that wants the camera input. There we are, and we can snake the antenna back here again. And screw it in. It looks fairly clean. Now for the crossfire. I'm gonna remove the sticker here because we're gonna mount it with double-sided sticky tape. How do I want to do this now? Because we're gonna have the antenna mounted somewhere out here. Actually, let's see how we're gonna mount the antenna first. If I can find my zip ties. Okay, I'm running really low on small zip ties. I only have 3 of them left that I could find. I thought about a new pack of them like 2 weeks ago, or 1.5 weeks ago or something. And we fit a zip tie through here. I've never tried to mount a crossfire antenna out here before. It is a learning experience. But I can't put a... Oh, sorry. Out of frame. Very good at getting out of frame today. So a zip tie will fit through here, but only on its side. Not flat, like we need it to. Through here it will fit, no issue at all. But, well, we need to have more than one angle on the antenna. We can't hold it with just one zip tie. Could I maybe put a zip tie? Well, let's try. This is probably gonna be really ugly. This antenna mounting. This doesn't really work. Thinking about a way to solve this. I don't. Maybe it could work with a 3D print similar to the one for the Ghost. But I'm gonna move the camera again. It is more where I want to work. It is. This is hard to mount. Because it could be mounted out here. But it was mounted sort of, it would get this angle here. Which would expose the antenna cable. Which is something I, of course, don't want to do. Because in a midair, if you get rear-ended in a midair, well, that's your antenna. I really do appreciate just how small the Ghost antenna is now. It's tiny and has a square shape so it's easy to mount. Maybe I have a even smaller zip tie. But probably not. I know that there are smaller zip ties. The question is just if I have them. Okay, if I just try to... If I try to force this to work, will it work? Is the question. Okay, the zip tie will work for here. Now the question is just which side should I put it on? If I put a zip tie through here. And I could have put a zip tie through there afterwards. What would that accomplish? Oh, why did TBS have to go with a non-square shape for the antenna molding? Okay, we're gonna ignore the antenna mounting for now and just continue. But we get finished sometimes because I'm probably gonna CAD something up or find some other way to do it. The antenna will be on that arm, so that is set. The crossfire pinout I do actually know. It is ground 5 volt TX1, which is well, it is ground 5 volt sending and receiving. They're angles, but they're straight up. There we go, and wisdom. One thing TBS should get credit for is including their nice cables. Immersion, the cables that you get with immersion stuff isn't as nice quality and isn't as well fitted in sizes and stuff. For example, the ghost cables you get, they are massive for some reason. Like they're bigger than the cables you get with the Tramp VTX. I don't understand at all. Like it's a receiver, it doesn't use any power at all, nearly. Very, very little. Let's see here, more TBS heat shrink that will just go woof if we're not careful. Okay, that is close enough. Don't want the heat shrink to disappear or catch fire, because it will catch fire if you put a flame to it for too long. And I know from experience that it does not smell good. Okay, it's the table that's uneven, not the quad. If you can hear. I know you probably can't hear that, but the quad is wiggling back and forth. That's due to the table being all wavy. I pull the cables underneath the VTX antenna cable. And it's ground, 5V, TX and RX. Just remove the VTX antenna mount for a short little while I'm soldering here. Add some slack. Got them all at once. Re-tin the pads. And strip the wires. It was ground 5V, not 5V ground. So that's the receiver soldering done. We can add the antenna mount back. So what's left now is the antenna mount. I'm probably gonna figure that out somehow off stream, and the camera cables. So I'm not usually a foxier kind of guy, but their cameras have gotten very good lately. Let's put that by the other stickers. But the customer wants a foxier camera, so he will get a foxier camera. And let's see here if I can get it open here. And the packaging is more annoying than run cams. But you do get a joystick with it, which is good. Runcam has stopped sending these ones with your cameras. I still have a massive stash of them, but I haven't gotten one in a while. And also this adapter from Nanotow Micro is in injection molded plastic instead of some silicone stuff. It's hard instead of soft. And the cable that we get is very long and nice, like that. And let's see which end fits. That one fits. Probably this one does not fit. Yep. It's also very nice that you get a long cable. That means that we will not have to splice anything, which is a huge bonus. I was expecting to have to do that. Will this not fit, or is it just a very tight fit? Well, we're gonna remove the voltage sense pin because we're not gonna use that, which is the purple-ish, whatever color. Zoom in. Well, let's refocus on it. It is the one I have in tweezers, the purple, whatever color that is. Kind of like a bleak pink purple thing. Because we don't need a camera to use V-Sense. Because the OSD on the FC does that for us. Getting this long cable package is actually very nice. That means that I actually didn't have to solder it on here. I could just cut here and solder on it. I'm still gonna splice these ones because they're already soldered on. And actually, now that I think about it, I'm probably gonna redo them with these cables here. It's gonna be cleaner. And the part that convinced me was I'm too low on heat shrink to make a nice splice. It would have to be some off-color heat shrink, which I don't want to send a quad out with that. If it would have been my own setup, it's like whatever, but customer quad. There we go. Just I can show you. Just burned away heat shrink because it's so annoying to remove. Because you need to use side cutters for it, which I'm not really comfortable doing on this because there's loose components that you could easily snip off. Let's see. That one. Smells very nice in here now after I burned that heat shrink. Lovely, lovely smell of burnt plastic. We want to have it come through. How have I done this one? Okay. I'm thinking about the cable routing now. Just now because they're loose, you can do this the opposite way compared to normal. Where I snake through the cables instead of a big connector. Yeah, that was a fair bit easier than trying to snake through a massive connector. Remove that one. And recut a heat shrink. Let's check the length here. Gonna sorta wing it around there. Oh, I might have fucked up now. Because the yellow cable needs to be longer. Have I fucked? No, it's probably still fine. This is such an awkward soldering angle. There we go. Now I think I got it. Okay, 5 volt is in. And the ground is in. I didn't put the 2 camera cables through the heat shrink first. Now the heat shrink doesn't fit. Luckily, I have some more. This TBS heat shrink. Okay, now that is over it. And on. And shrink it. Alright. That has been fixed now. Now we've got another problem, which is that the electrical tape that's holding the cap has well, it is for the cap has detached. So now we need to go and fix that, because that is right under the BTX. So let's remove the top plate. Fishing the electrical tape through. It's kind of hard to do now with all the cables in the way. Yep, there we go. Managed to do it anyway. Now we can mount the BTX for the final time, hopefully. Probably not going to be the final time because I said it like that. Kind of like shooting yourself in the foot, saying it that way. Getting the camera cable tinned part because it was a bit too long and it wasn't pre-tinned all the way in here. So let's do that now. And this should be the final cable to be soldered. Alright. Tuck all cables away neatly. And we should be able to close bottom plate. Gonna mount the crossfire antenna here, just with the cable. I haven't figured out a good way to do it yet. I'm gonna do that off stream, most likely. Unless I get a burst of energy near the end here. Right, now we can put camera, cable and connector through again. And the bottom plate. Let's make this easy for me. And put in all of the standoffs before we put on the bottom plate. And they're all going to be outside of the arms, not on the inside. But it's quite easy to get all of them in the correct place. Come on, snap in, you're the last piece. See if we can reach it with a screw, because we have these laser here. Yeah. There we go. Now everything's white. Now when we're from the opposite side, we can put in all of the long screws, which we know are going to be on the inside of the arms. Oh, camera mount. I'll go get the camera mount and see if the print is done. And it is indeed done. So this is straight from the printer, because I only printed one of them. It has some slight imperfections near the top there. I think you can see them on camera. This little thing here. And let's see if it fits. It should. Okay. Lens fits from that side. And it does fit. Fits very nicely. Probably gonna tweak the design ever so slightly. I'll mount the camera for you guys and I'll show you. Because I need to the camera still in the mount, so it isn't moving around. Because I need to show you the glass. Okay. See if I can. So, our hand behind. You might see that the glass is protruding ever so slightly, so that you can destroy a lens. This camera mount is designed parametrically. So we have a lot of parameters that we can just change. For example, the length from the screw hole to the back of the connector is different for Runcam and Foxeer. So we have that as a parameter, how far back this back edge should be. All of that is easily changeable. And another parameter is, of course, the diameter of the lens. Also, how far it should extend this way. So how much protection we have around the lens, which is something I need to increase on this one. And also the angles, of course. This one is a... I think it's 35 to 40 degrees. So if it's in the bottom of the camera mount, like so, I might actually be able to show this now with the light. So you can see there, above the lens, you can see the camera body through. If I move it up. Oh yeah, I can't move it a lot further up due to the slight sag in the 3D print, which only happens when I print one at a time, because then the layer time is too short. It doesn't cool properly. But if I print two or more, which I normally do, those aren't there. This one was just a prototype, and now I know that I need to change that slightly before I ship it out and finalize the design. But we're still gonna accept that for now for the stream, for the purpose of the stream. We're move the camera because it's easier to put in the camera mount screws. Camera isn't there. So it is the black aluminium screws. They are 2mm longer, which is the base of the base of the print. 2mm thick. That's why they are slightly longer. Now I'm running into the capacitors, one of the legs. It was heat shrunk, so there's no risk of shortage there. And where the black is in there. Now very carefully put this in with a pair of pliers. Okay, I'm just gonna remove that one camera screw before I put this one in, because it kept falling down into the way of the spacer. Let's see if we can. Oh, yes. Okay, let's do this the other way around. So we put in the long screw from the other side. Then I can actually see what I'm doing. The way I should have done this is like I did with the bottom plate. Putting in all of the spacers before I mount the top plate. But I'm not always capable of using my 2 brain cells. So sometimes it doesn't really go as planned. There we go. And now we can mount the camera. Can be a little bit fiddly the first few times you're doing it. But it's something you get. You get in like the muscle memory for it very quickly, and the technique. Yeah, I guess it's not really muscle memory, it's technique. And then we can plug in camera connector. Usually easiest with a pair of tweezers. Yes, it is. So you can see it's down towards the frame. But it is possible to do with your fingers as well. It's just a bit more work. And there we are. Now the camera is mounted. Now there's only a few spacers left. Oh, I just realized we haven't tested it. We haven't plugged it in. So is everyone ready for a test plugin? And because people were worried last time, I'm gonna use a multimeter this time. It's in beep mode. Okay, we have no major shorts. Let's plug it in and see if it burns. In 3, 2, 1, fire in the hole. Surprisingly easy. Worked on the first try. Am I dumb or something? Okay, now it's going. No, it's not. This spacer even threaded? It is. Why is it not getting threaded onto the screw? I'm confused. Now it's threading. I don't even know. a few more screws and standoffs, and then build is complete. I'm still not ready to do a beta flight setup live because well, I have this keyboard here, but it isn't really working. Half of the inputs aren't getting registered, and I can't just plug in a normal keyboard into the computer now because I'm out of USB ports. So I'm gonna have to get a USB hub. Might get one until tomorrow, or I might unplug. Yeah, I could unplug the camera that you guys are watching from now, and plug in a keyboard. Of course, for just the beta flight part. And then I just have a screen capture going. But that is something for tomorrow. And the antenna mount here, I'm gonna figure that out off stream. So I'm getting kind of tired now after nearly 3 hours, and a lot of prep work before this. There we go. And here we have a finished MAD-LITE. Well, thank you all for watching. There will be another stream tomorrow. It will be an identical build to this one, which was last streams. And I hope to see you then.